G'day YouTube viewer, g'day bikers. Today I'm going to suggest a route that gives me an ultimate day in the twisties on a road or adventure bike heading south from Sydney. Now this is an all-day ride in the saddle if you're up to it, but I don't have enough batteries to capture all in one ride. So I've taken some excerpts from the journey on different bikes in various sections in the big loop I'm suggesting as the perfect twisty day ride out of Sydney. Of course, there is a great loop heading north too along the old Pacific Highway, then Pete's Ridge Road and George Downs Road to Central Mangrove, and the Great Northern Road onto Wollombi, Paynes Crossing Road to Broke, Milbradale Road to Milbradale, where you can turn left onto the Putty Road and then wind your way all the way back to Windsor and Sydney. And of course, when the Great Western Highway reopens, there is another great loop that takes in the Bells line of road, and that has some great detours you can take to Jenolan Caves, Megalong Valley and Oberon if you want to make a bigger day of it, of course. But for this suggestion, as you head south from Sydney, turn left off the M1 at Loftus into Farnell Avenue, and that becomes Sir Bartram Stevens Drive in the Royal National Park. When you get to the intersection with McKell Avenue, continue south on Lady Wakehurst Drive and then stop to enjoy the lookout overlooking Stanwell Park and a coffee at Bald Hill, where I am right now, while enjoying the view down the Illawarra coastline. From there you can enjoy the start of Grand Pacific Drive by heading down Lawrence Hargrave Drive to Stanwell Park, and then over the iconic Seacliff Bridge where all the car commercials are made, then on past Scarborough Hotel and Clifton Hotel, and then down the scenic Lawrence Hargrave Drive by the sea where there are plenty of beach stops along the way. You then go through Coaldale and Austinmere before passing through Thirroul and rejoining the Princes Highway just before Bulli, where you could choose to make a deviation up and down Bulli Pass or up Bulli Pass and then south along the M1 and down Mount Ousley Road into Wollongong. But I prefer to keep away from the traffic by jumping on the Northern Distributor just on the southern side of Bulli, heading in onto the Princes Highway and take it all the way until it joins the M1 again at Gwynville before veering to the left at the Fig Tree exit and left again onto the Princes Highway for a short distance back towards Wollongong and then turning left again onto Mount Kira Road for the start of what becomes a twisty road up to the Mount Kira lookout. Alright, now we're on Mount Kira Road and we're going up to the top of that mountain. Love those signs, twisties. Turn right on the Queen Elizabeth Drive near the top of Mount Kira to take in the spectacular view up and down the coast. There's also a coffee stop cafe in the car park, but I always choose to wait a while. I rejoin Mount Kira Road for a few kilometres, go past Clive Bissell Drive, which would take you back to Mount Ousley Road if you turn right. Instead, I stay on Mount Kira Road for about another K before turning left onto Harry Graham Drive, which takes you down the escarpment to Kembla Heights, where you can make a small deviation by turning right onto Cordo Road for a short distance up past Windy Gully towards Mount Kembla Lookout for a great view down the coast visible from the side of the road without dismounting the bike. Then I head back down Cordo Road by turning right onto it at the intersection with Harry Graham Drive, and then proceed down the mountain into Mount Kembla, where I stop at the historic Mount Kembla Hotel, which provides one of the lunch stop options I recommend on this route. After that, we stay heading east on Cordo Road until it meets the Princes Highway between Figtree and Unanderra, and I continue heading south on it through Unanderra, Kembla Grange and Dapto. Just after Dapto, I turn west onto Huntley Road for a few hundred metres before turning left onto Marshallmount Road and taking it all the way until it meets Calderwood Road, which I will take all the way to Tongara Road, which is also the start of the Illawarra Highway. By turning right onto it, it will take you all the way up to and including Macquarie Pass. My second recommendation for lunch is the famous Robertson Pie Shop just before the Southern Highlands township of Robertson. Opposite the pie shop is the turn-off onto Jamberoo Mountain Road, which will take you past the Illawarra Fly Treetop Walk on the left and the Carrington Falls, Nellies Glen and Barron Grounds turn-offs to the right. On the left-hand side of the road, just before you hit the twisty, steep downhill section, there is a great lookout overlooking Kiama, Jamberoo and Shell Harbour called Jamberoo Lookout. Also, as you head east towards the Jamberoo Road intersection, which will take you into the township by turning right, there is the option of a stop and a great opportunity to stretch your legs at Minamurra Rainforest, and is a left-hand detour that takes you a few kilometres along Minamurra Falls Road. And in Jamberoo, there is another great lunch stop option at the Jamberoo Hotel. Now as we head east on Jamboree Road towards Kiama, which is one of my favourite sweeping country roads, particularly on the Z900RS, there are some other twisty options, all with wonderful vistas. I generally prefer for such a long day in the saddle to take Jamboree Road all the way into Kiama, but you could turn right onto Fountaindale Road or one of the two turns onto Jarrara Road and head all the way up to Saddleback Mountain before heading to Kiama on Saddleback Mountain Road, Old Saddleback Mountain Road or Long Brush Road, until it joins Jarrara Road, where you turn right until it meets back up with Jamboree Road, where you turn right and head into Kiama. I find the narrow bitumen twisty roads around Saddleback Mountain perfect for the GB350, so tend to do them separately to a big day out like this. At Kiama, I head straight through town all the way along Terralong Street to the Kiama Blowhole before heading south along Menning Street and South Kiama Drive until it veers left onto the Princes Highway at the start of the Kiama Bends, where there is a great lookout overlooking Gerringong on the southern end. Immediately after the Kiama Bends, I veer left into Fern Street near the Rose Valley Road intersection and head into Gerringong and Werry Beach before heading south to Jarrara, where Fern Street becomes Crooked River Road. A great lunch stop there is the Jarrara Boat Fishermen's Club. I then head south on Jarrara Road, which becomes Bowlong Road, and take it all the way to Shoalhaven Heads, where the Heads Hotel is a great lunch stop with views across Shoalhaven River. Gotta love Australia, the beaches. pub just there. A good look at the beach with Coolangatta Mountain in the background there. So you got Coolangatta Mountain, Berry is that way, Shoalhaven Head's over there. Just before Coolangatta on Bowlong Road, I recommend for this twisty day in the saddle, taking Coolangatta Road to Berry, turning left into Queen Street and staying on that all the way until it becomes Kangaroo Valley Road. I then head up Berry Mountain and stay on that almost all the way to Mossvale Road. But I suggest turning right onto Watamola Road before that and taking this wonderful twisty road all the way to the Woodhill Mountain Road intersection, where you turn right and take in some wonderful views overlooking Berry as you return to the popular tourist town, where there are some other great lunch options. At the Woodhill Mountain Road, there is also an option to turn left a few hundred metres to the small car park for the walk up to Drawing Room Rocks. But it is a pretty physical walk that takes a few hours, and I suggest doing that as a day-long outing all on its own. You'll be pretty tired after the walk. At Berry, my suggestion is to head back on Coolangatta Road for a short time before taking a ride onto Bryce's Road, which eventually becomes Back Forest Road, and taking it all the way until it meets Bowlong Road, where you then turn right and head into Bomaderry. Just a warning though, Bryce's Road and Back Forest Road do have a lot of potholes. It's a narrow, winding road, very scenic, but if you want to avoid potholes, probably zip straight down the highway to Nowra, or go back to Shoalhaven Heads and then come around Bowlong Road. Now if you're on Bowlong Road at the Princess Highway intersection, turn left and then immediately right before the bridge over the river. So to do that, stick in the right hand lane on the left turn onto the highway before making a right at the next set of lights onto Illaroo Road. Take that all the way to North Nowra, where you veer right at the roundabout and continue on Illaroo Road until another roundabout where you turn left on what is still Illaroo Road. You remain on that for a few kilometres until you turn right onto one of my favourite little laneways. It's called Hockey's Lane and is this wonderful romantic single road that takes you into the quaint Camberwarra village, where you turn right onto Main Road until it joins Mossvale Road, where you turn left and head up Camberwarra Mountain, which is one of the best twisty roads on the whole journey in terms of smooth tarmac and a variety of great corners. At the top you can take a detour onto Camberwarra Lookout Road if you want, up to a wonderful cafe and spectacular views of the south coast. From there it's back onto Mossvale Road and the many twisty corners into Kangaroo Valley, which has many more lunch options. From Kangaroo Valley, keep heading north over the historic Hampton Bridge and towards another twisty mountain section of Mossvale Road at Barangarry Mountain, which is equally as good as the Cambawarra Mountain. As you head back towards Sydney, before reaching Fitzroy Falls, I prefer turning right onto Myravale Road, then turning left onto Wiles Meadow Road at Wiles Meadow, and then turning right into Church Street, which will take you into Burrawong, where there is another great hotel for a lunch stop if you leave really early, that is. Otherwise this will be fairly late in the day. At Burrawong, I suggest taking McGrath's Road south towards the Illawarra Highway that you can join for a short ride into Robertson, where there is another great hotel. At Robertson, you can take a short tourist route ride along Kaylang Street until it joins Kangaloon Road and turn right onto Sheepwash Road, which will take you all the way into Barrel. From there, head on to Mittagong, where you can join the Hume Highway and head back to Sydney. But if you want a few more twisties on the way home, you can turn right onto Picton Road for a short distance, before turning left onto Argyle Street, which almost immediately veers right into Wilton Road at Wilton, and that will take you on a great twisty ride over the Cataract River and onto Appin, where you can take Appin Road north towards Campbelltown or east towards Bulli Tops, and then turn left onto the Old Princes Highway through Madden's Plains to Helensburgh, and then stay on the old highway through Garrawarra and rejoin the M1 at Waterfall. And if that's not enough twisty action for one day, you could head east along McKell Avenue, back into the Royal National Park, and then turn left onto Sir Bertram Stevens Drive for many more corners and curves back towards Loftus and Sutherland. Now that would be one hell of a loop that might be best in late spring, summer or early autumn, where there is plenty of light and warmer weather at the higher elevations. Of course, you could drastically cut the length of the ride by taking out the Mount Kira and Mount Kembla sections and the Berry Mountain and Wilton sections. But regardless, all these roads are perfect for road and adventure bikes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so before and would like to be alerted to future videos as soon as I post them, please consider subscribing to the channel right now. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world, and until next time, happy motorcycling.